times, so he knows very well. Honourable delegates, will now proceed to the first and second order of the order paper, which shall be read together. The first one being the consideration of the report of Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests on the alleged contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and disclosure of members' interests in the matter of Honorable Ian Cameron, who's the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police. The second one being the consideration of the report of the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests with regards to the non-disclosure of members' interests for 2024, contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and disclosure of members' interests. Accordingly, I now take this opportunity and invite on the podium Honorable Brits, who is the chairperson of the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests, to come and present the committee's report. He's got 15 minutes to do that.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable members, both reports were ATC'd on the 13th of March 2025. I do take it for granted that you've read the reports in full. It is lengthy reports, so I'm not going to bore you by reading them out. The first report that I present to the Honourable House is only to be noted and for the information of the House, and that is the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interest, having considered the complaint against the Honourable Ian Cameron, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, and we report as follows. Just basically, Mr. Mzwandile Tio, a member of public, submitted a complaint to the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interest concerning the Honourable Ian Cameron, MP, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police. Mr. Tio was a former Major General of the South African Police Services and the former Provincial Head Crime Intelligence in the Western Cape. The Office of the Registrar of Members' Interests received the complaint on the 11th of February 2025 for an alleged breach of the Code on Ethical Conduct and Members' Interest. There is a summary of the complaint as well as a summary of the response by the member. The provisions of the code which comes into play is item 2 and 3 of the code, item 5.1a of the code, and then item 6.1b of the code, and very important, item 9 of the code, which provides as follows. 1, a member must not bring Parliament into disrepute when using, engaging in, or communicating content on social media platforms. 2, a member who is addressing another member or a member of the public on social media platforms must not use derogatory, racist, or sexist language or content that is derogatory, racist, and sexist. 3, a member when using social media platforms may not incite violence or promote hate speech. And 4, when engaging in content on social media platforms, a member may not like, share, or comment on content that is derogatory, racist, sexist, or promotes violence or hate speech in order to promote such content. The committee deliberated on the complaint, and the committee found that the complaint is unfounded and that the member did not breach the code. Table this for information. Coming to the second report, honourable members, it has bearing on members of Parliament that failed to disclose their interests. The Joint Committee, having considered the non-disclosure of financial and other interest in respect of the 2024 disclosure process, reports as follows. Firstly, the committee wishes to express its concern at the fact that certain members of parliament did not disclose their financial and registerable interest by the due date. The committee stressed the point that the disclosure of financial and registerable interest is a mechanism designed by Parliament to hold members accountable to the public. The due date for the 2024 disclosure of members' interests was the 14th of October 2024. Of the 454 members of Parliament who are required to submit their disclosures, 9 members failed and or neglected to submit their disclosures by the due date. The following members did not meet the deadline for disclosing their registerable interests. 1, Honourable Solomon Patrick Mabilu from the ANC. 2, the Honourable Mluleki Lelenga from the ANC. 3, the Honourable Nkululeko Hlenga, the Deputy Minister of Transport, member of the IFP. 4, the Honourable Nhlamulo Ndleka, a member of MK. 5, the Honourable Mzoleli Mrara, a member of the ANC. 6, Honourable Masecheho Mofokeng, a member of the ANC. 7, the Honourable Marupeni Ramokgopa, the Minister in the Presidency responsible for planning, monitoring and evaluation, member of the ANC. 8, the Honourable Sihle Zikalala, the Deputy Minister for Public Works and Infrastructure, member of the ANC. And lastly, the Honourable Andries Nel, the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, member of the ANC. In respect of the Honourable Mabilu, the member failed and or neglected to submit a public disclosure by the due date of 14 October 2024. The recommendation by the committee. Firstly, we urge the House to note the contents of item 23 of the code, which provides as follows. The committee, when deciding a penalty to be recommended in terms of sub-items 1 and 2, may take into account the representations of the member, and after considering the representations may impose a harsher or lesser penalty than those provided for in sub-item 1 or 2. This is the first time that the member has breached the code. However, he failed to submit his public disclosure by the due date and also failed to comply with 3 additional times he was requested by the Office of the Registrar to complete his disclosure. The committee therefore recommends to this House that a reprimand in the House and a fine of 12,500 rands be imposed as a harsher penalty contemplated in item 20 sub-item 3 of the code. In respect of the Honourable Lelanga, the member failed and or neglected to submit the confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Hlengwa, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by due date of 14 October 2024, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House as well as a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Ndlela, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October. The committee therefore recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rands for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Mrara, the member failed and or neglected to submit the confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rands for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Mofokeng, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October 2024, The committee therefore recommends to this House that the penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Ramakgopa, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of the 14th of October 2024, and therefore the committee recommends to the House that a penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Zikalala, the member failed and or neglected to submit both public and confidential disclosure by the due date of the 14th of October 2024, and the committee therefore recommends to the House that the penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for first offence be imposed. In respect of the Honourable Andries Nel, the member failed and or neglected to submit both a public and confidential disclosure by the due date of 14 October 2024. The member stated that the acting registrar of members' interest should have communicated with him personally and not via the chief whip of his political party or via the leader of government business. The committee therefore recommends to the House that the penalty of a reprimand in the House and a fine of 10,000 rand for a first offence be imposed. Honourable Chair, I herewith table the report to be considered by the Honourable House.
Thank you very much. You may take your seat. Honourable members, we will now proceed to voting. Before we could vote, I want to allow members, the provinces, to make declaration if there is any province that would like to do so. There are no declarations. We are now proceeding to the voting on the first report, which is the report of the allegations in terms of the contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and Disclosure of Members' Interests. I'll start with Eastern Cape.
Chairperson, honourable members, we support the report.
Thank you very much. Free State.
Honourable Chairperson, the Free State vote in support of the report.
Thank you very much. Gauteng. MEC.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng support.
Oh, thank you very much. I forgot that she's on the platform. Okay. And KZN.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The province of the first African to receive Nobel Peace Prize as a laurel, Nkosi Ntuli, we support the report.
Thank you very much. Limpopo, Honourable Ndlovu. Oh, Honourable Mukweli is on the virtual platform. We miss you when you are not in the house. We get confused. You're confusing us. Please do come back home. Honourable Mukweli.
No. Thanks very much. I will be coming back into the house, as you always know that I'm always in the house. Chair, without much ado, as Limpopo, we support the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your voice is felt, Honourable Mukweli. I'm used to look at you each time. I always look at you just to check. I've got no one today to look at upon. We are moving to Mpumalanga.
Thank you, Chair. As Mpumalanga, we are supporting the report.
Thank you very much. Northern Cape, Honourable Mabilo.
No, Chair, as the Northern Cape, we support the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Northwest, Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honourable Dupi stand for Honourable Sithole. Northwest support the report.
No, I'm gonna be the deputy speaker of NA. All the members on the virtual plus platform, I'm just gonna shut them off, all of them, because they're disrupting me. Honorable Badinos.
Thank you, Chair. The Western Cape will support.
Thank you very much. We are now okay. Honorable members, the voting has closed and accordingly, all 9 provinces have voted in favor of this report. And accordingly, the report in terms of section 65 of the Constitution is duly adopted. Thank you. We are now proceeding to the next report that has also been tabled by Honorable Brits. The report is the report in relation to the non-disclosure of members' interests for 2024, contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and disclosure of members. Once again, I would like to call upon provinces, if there is any, to make the declaration. None. Thank you very much. We are now moving to the next, to the voting. Accordingly, I would request provinces to vote. I will start with Western Cape.
Thank you. We'll support.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mabilo.
Re a leboga modulasetulo ra itega report ena.
Thank you very much. Northern Cape, Honorable Medupi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Northwest support.
Thank you very much. Mpumalanga.
Thank you very much, Mpumalanga support.
Thank you very much. Limpopo. Honorable Kwele.
Rola bo mdila stulo re Limpopo re thaga report e le mo pilareng. Re a leboga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kaunda.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Njengesifundazwe esobe sihosta i-combat marathon kuleli sonto on Sunday. Siyawuseka lo mbiko ngazo zonke, siyabonga.
Thank you very much and all the best. Honorable Mananiso.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you very much. Free State.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The Free State voted in favor of the report.
Thank you very much. Eastern Cape.
Nesihlalo namalungu abekileyo iphondo lenqwele nalo liyanqwala.
Thank you very much, Nkosiami. Accordingly, the voting has closed, and honorable members, once again, all the provinces unanimously voted in favor of this report as it was tabled by the chairperson of the committee. That then takes us to the next order of the day, which is the debate that was sponsored by MK Party, which shall be opened by Honorable Mukwena, which we are debating under the theme, People to the People, Confronting Corruption and Delivering Sustainable Solutions to End South Africa's Energy Crisis. And I call upon the first speaker on my list, Honorable Mukwena. You've got 20 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The topic is Power to the People, Confronting Corruption and Delivering Sustainable Solutions to End South Africa's Energy Crisis. I would like to greet my party president, Jacob Zuma, who was phenomenal during his time as the president of the country in this very section.
You are misleading the House.
Honorable Chair. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, South Africans are tired of excuses, tired of empty promises. They are tired of living in a country where darkness, both literally and metaphorically, has become the norm. The electricity crisis gripping our nation is more than just a technical issue. It is a crisis born of deliberate choices, systematic failures, and unchecked corruption. Today, as we debate this critical topic, I appeal to every one of you and ask you to reflect on what kind of legacy are we wanting to leave behind for future generations. Let us begin by acknowledging the truth. Eskom, once the pride of our public enterprise, has been brought to its knees by years of mismanagement and corruption. Load shedding is not just a sign.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Mokoena, you can take your seat. What is your point of order, Honorable Badenhorst? On which rule are you rising on?
Will the member take a question?
Honorable Mokoena, are you prepared to take a question?
No, Chair, just that he must reflect on the truth that I'm about to speak.
Unfortunately, she's not prepared to take a question. You may proceed, Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you. Load shedding is not just a sign of broken infrastructure. It is a symptom of broken governance. It disrupts homes, stalls businesses, and puts our most vulnerable citizens, our elderly, patients in hospital, and learners in constant peril. But beyond the blackouts, another kind of darkness lurks. A darkness fed by greed, a darkness fed by self-interest, where public funds meant to power our nation instead line private pockets, as we have seen in recent times. Honorable members, corruption lies at the heart of South Africa's electricity crisis. The recent revelation surrounding Mulilo are a damning indictment of the ANC's failure to safeguard public resources. This company, co-founded by Jan Oppenhauser, Eskom's former COO, has secured a contract worth 375 million rands over 15 years. A contract awarded by the very institution he used to control. It's not a mere coincidence. It is the same old ANC doing ANC ways. It is yet another chapter in their legacy of enabling corruption. And to reaffirm this, just yesterday, the very Minister of Electricity and Energy very heartwarmingly defended this. He claimed that there were necessary steps to address the crisis. It was published in the Times newspaper, and his excuse were as predictable as insulting. Let us ask the hard question: how does a man move from managing Eskom's finances to profiting from its contracts within months? How does the government justify awarding billion rands of contracts to companies that are tied to former executives? How do you live with yourself? How do you sleep at night? And it is not just Eskom. We see billions wasted on failed projects like Medupi and Kusile. Tenders awarded to politically connected cadres and a deliberate lack of investment in renewable energy. And then they'll blame ex-presidents when it is actually the current president and its government that is doing all the worst things. They are a part of a larger systemic betrayal of the ANC. Honorable members, the energy crisis is not just about cities plunged into darkness. It is about the forgotten communities. We as the National Council of Provinces, our job is to look after for our provinces. It is communities like Greytown, where families live without reliable electricity, unable to preserve food or power schools. In Dutwa communities where they've been waiting for years of promises of electrification to materialize, and the ANC dololo. In Tohoyandu, load shedding disrupts a small business trying to rebuild a fragile local economy. Lusigisi, students are crying and studying by candlelight at times because they are robbed of their future because of failures of ANC and its government. In Zwelitsha, pensioners are suffering as power cuts are part of their daily lives. In Guyana, water pumps fail because of power outages, leaving communities without basic necessities. In Kandla, where power cuts deepen the struggles of rural households. Mthatha, residents feel forgotten as rolling blackouts stretch in hour after hour. In Kuma, our poor children walking along distances of schools with no lights on to power learning equipment. In Bloemfontein, small corporates trying to empower women are stalled by unreliable energy supply. In Sekhukhune, rural clinics are forced to operate without power, risking the lives of mothers and newborns. In Makana, residents are forced to use unsafe alternatives for lighting, increasing fire risks in informal homes. In Rustenburg, some informal settlements, people use paraffin stoves still at this day because of the poor ANC, with poor service. This is the reality of South African under the ANC. These are the communities left behind. These are the voices we must amplify. The MK party sees you. We stand by you. We fight for you. We refuse to let these communities be forgotten. The GNU failures have plunged you into darkness, but we will work tirelessly as the MK party to bring light and hope back to you starting in 2026 when we win all the municipalities without fail. For every village, town, and settlement that has been betrayed, we say to you, enough is enough. We see you. Honorable Chairperson, accountability is not just a buzzword. It is a necessity. It is something that the ANC and this GNU has avoided for a very long time. It is time to pack up your excuses. It is time to stop looking at me like you do not know what I'm talking about. The MK party demands immediate answers and action. We need auditing of the IPP contracts, starting with the very Mulilo. The people of South Africa deserve to know how these contracts were awarded and who is benefiting. We need forensic investigation of Eskom leadership, expose the web of corruption that has brought this institution to its knees. The minister defending these contracts yesterday was not speaking for the people. He was defending a system that benefits the elite while the poor suffer. It is time for this House to say enough is enough. Honorable members, we cannot simply dismantle corruption without offering a vision for the future. And we, as the incoming government, a strategy that is people-centered, a strategy that is transparent, a strategy that is sustainable. One, we want to diversify energy sources. We want to prioritize renewables like solar and wind with fair and open procurement processes. We want to strengthen infrastructure, modernize our grid, and reduce outages and accommodate new energy sources. We want to empower our citizens, abantu. We want to incentivize households and businesses to adopt green technologies, reducing dependence on this poor Eskom. Transparent oversight. We want us to establish a citizen-led task force to monitor all energy projects and to hold this very government accountable. This is how we build a resilient energy future, by putting people beyond profits. Honorable members, the ANC and the GNU, well, the prime leaders of this GNU, have failed us over and over again. ANC has betrayed South Africa once and again. This governing party, entrusted with the hopes of a nation, has turned its back on its people yet again. People who believed in its promises. The light may flicker in our homes, but in the halls of power, corruption shines brightly, illuminating the greed and the arrogance of those who have grown comfortable with stealing while nations suffer. The ANC's legacy, in fact, the GNU's legacy, is written in rolling blackouts, in crumbling infrastructure, and in the anguished cries of rural communities left to fend for themselves. They have squandered the trust of a nation, and they dare to defend the indefensible. A minister who justifies awarding billions to companies with ties to former executives They are not serving the community or our people. They are enablers of theft. To the ANC, to the DA, to all the members of the so-called GNU, we say this: your time for excuses is over. The nation sees you for who you are. Parties that are more invested in protecting corrupt elites than uplifting our people. And to the people of South Africa, we say, hold this GNU accountable, make them account, demand better because you deserve better. We in the Umkhonto we Party will never stop fighting for you. The ANC may have given up on you, the GNU may have given up on you, but we never will. Together we will end the darkness, together we will bring back to power to the people. Not just electricity, but power of hope, power of dignity and accountability. We say enough is enough. And in the upcoming elections of 2026, we will show you once again, because this time our votes will not be stolen. We will make sure that people receive the services that they deserve, the services that they stand in the lines to queue and vote for. They will get it from this party. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. Good afternoon, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen. We now move on to the Honorable Modise from the African National Congress in Gauteng. Honorable Modise.
Chairperson of the Council, Honorable Ryder, the Chairperson of the session, honorable members and the people of South Africa. Chairperson, today's debate is dedicated to Mr. Siphe Samule, a volunteer at the Lanasia Magistrate Court. I'm told that Mr. Samule has been a volunteer at this court for more than 10 years. Even though Mr. Siphe Samule has done a paralegal course and is able to assist both the South African Police Service and Justice Department with, amongst many, J7, J49, J70, and J39. Please don't ask me what they mean. Whilst assisting members of the public with information on court state, trace court state, and court procedure, as well as vested in the following SAP finance system, integrated management system, electronic case management system, Justice Department accounting system, and Moja Pay. Mr. Siphe Samule is still unemployed. Ever since Mr. Siphe Samule started volunteering more than a decade ago, to date, he has never been involved in corruption, even though he's unemployed. What is it that Mr. Siphe Samule must do in order for Justice Department to realize the talent and honest potential employee that they have in Mr. Siphe Samule? Chairperson, the topic we are debating today is certainly important and for the development of the country and its people. No modern society can develop without permanently ending load shedding and providing security of electricity supply. Indeed, South African economy is energy intensive and was developed through electricity supply by Eskom. At the onset, it needs to be made known that the ANC in the 6th Parliament, and even now, does not merely seek to end load shedding, but seek to end load shedding through increasing generation capacity beyond the current demand to ensure that there's a sufficient electricity to generate economic growth and fuel job creation. Now, having a myopic view on ending load shedding without increasing generation capacity does not help economic development through infrastructure expansion and job creation. However, there are a number of assumptions in the topic which requires commenting on. One, that there should be power to the people. It's amazing. It should have been extremely obvious to the proposer of the debate that there is power to the people in the African National Congress. Every 5 years, the African National Congress goes to its national conference to renew its policies and elect new leadership. And to date, Leaders have come and gone, and the ANC is still here. Like in some political parties, that continues to appoint leaders and refer them as SGs and TGs and so on and so forth, whereas they carry no mandate from any conference or their membership. Same with these others who continue to elect one person over and over and over because of the fear of the party demise should they elect differently. In the past, apartheid deemed it not necessary to provide African households with basic services like electricity and water, and the African National Congress government sought to correct the historical injustices of apartheid through providing these services throughout the country. In addition, in many social housing projects, government has provided solar water heating to reduce demand while providing poor and the working class households with hot water. This reduced the cost of electricity to those poor and working class households. And during this financial year, 96% of households will be electrified. The other 4% will require off-grid solutions as the transmission grid will not work in those areas such as the Valley of the Thousand Hills in KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable Mokoena. Moreover, there has been years of neglect of coal-fired power station in terms of routine maintenance. Chairperson, we're going to be told here by those wearing combat as a fashion statement, without any force or combat number or name, by those who can't even shoot water gun, and spitting on the graves and sacrifices made by those that knew what it meant by wearing a combat under the regime of terror in Pretoria. They are going to tell us that under President Zuma, Eskom showed healthy financials, but they are not going to tell us that it was to the detriment of the functioning of the plants as they were not maintained. Reality is that coal deliveries to Eskom plants were hijacked, and quality coal was replaced by the hijackers with a poor quality, which impacted on the unplanned breakdowns of the units. They're not going to tell you that. This resulted in a number of arrests and prosecution, and this information is publicly available. And Member Mokoena is a member of the committee, and she knows these things. Eskom, like Transnet, was also negatively affected by the state capture and corruption, which was one of the subjects at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. This resulted in the breakdown of governance and financial controls in the entity. There were serious allegations of corruption in terms of procurement, which the SIU is still investigating, and my colleagues will come and explain much better. However, what should be clear is that the ANC government in the 6th Parliament has initiated those investigations, and they are still continuing up until today.
Chair.
The development of Medupi.
Mr. Modise, won't you take your seat, please? Honorable Mokoena, on what are you rising?
Thank you, Chair. I'm wondering if the honourable member is willing to take a question from me.
Mr. Modise, would you like to take a question? You would? Yes, please proceed with your question now.
Right. I would like him to clarify which was which governing party it was in the areas that he's talking about of the failures of Eskom. Thank you. Just clarify for us.
Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. Honorable Modise, over to you to reply and then continue with your delivery. Thank you.
The ruling party was the African National Congress, led by President Jacob Zuma. Chairperson, over time, there has been an attempt by Umkhonto Zuma party in both houses of parliament to divorce President Jacob Zuma from the challenges and successes of his tenure.
Sorry again, Mr. Modise, please take your seat. Mr. Zulu.
Chair, thank you very much. Can the honorable member take another question?
I'll say
Another question for you, Mr. Modise. Yes, is engaging
Thank you very
today.
much, Chair. Honorable Mdise, bekayithatha aphi mandate to President Zuma? Bekayithatha aphi mandate?
There you go, Honorable Modise, a short question.
Chairperson, every 5 years the ANC goes to conference, and the resolution of the conference in renewing the policies of the ANC becomes the guiding tool for any sitting president of the country under the ANC. The mandate came from conferences. Hence, I'm saying to you, and I want you to listen to me, Makeb. Chairperson, over time, there has been an attempt by Umkhonto Zuma party in both houses of parliament to divorce President Jacob Zuma from the challenges and successes of his tenure. The attempt seeks to suggest that anything wrong is a result of the ANC and anything right was President Zuma's ideas. That is wrong and fallacy and myopic in its character. We all know how much the ANC went out of its way to protect President Zuma when he was the president of the country. And as he was mandated by the National Conference, let it put it categorically clear that the history and legacy of President Jacob Zuma is in the ANC. And that Mshika party of his is a retirement plan and a money-making scheme for himself and his children. That is why President Jacob Zuma can remove anyone without any founding member of MK party, without any consultation. So that as much as he did yesterday, without worry, even though some of the members seated here today can be removed today or tomorrow.
Another interruption, please, if you wouldn't mind taking your seat. Mr. Nzimande, on what are you rising?
Chair, we did not want to disrupt your meeting, but he must be guided that you don't attack the integrity of a person. Thank you.
I think that's points of order.
Oh, guys.
Honourable Nzimande, the rules of the House are clear. Sitting members of Parliament receive protection in this House. For the rest, there's no such protection. Mr. Modise, please continue.
That's why President Zuma can remove a founding member of his Mshika party with those who just joined yesterday without any worry. Even some of the members seated here today can be removed by tomorrow. Floyd Shibambo is now redeployed to Parliament. He has been relegated from being a deployer to a deployee. Just like the late leader of Inkatha Freedom Party, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi requested that his coffin be draped in the ANC flag, so will President Zuma.
Mr. Modise, again another interruption. Please take your seat. Honourable Mokoena, on what are you rising now?
Chairperson, I want clarity. Is this about Zuma, or is it about energy crisis? We are getting very confused.
Mr. Modise is not yet a minister. You don't have an allocation of 6 questions today. So I think you've used your quota of questions. Mr. Modise, please continue.
Chair.
Mr. Zulu.
Yes, Chairperson, thank you very much once again. Can the honorable member assist this House? What is the meaning of Mshika party?
Now, honourable members, I think that frivolous questions will not be entertained. I don't think you also haven't asked permission to ask the question. So please take your seat. Mr. Modise, please continue, and I trust there'll be no further frivolous interruptions.
Thank you, Chair. Just like the late leader of Inkatha Freedom Party, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, requested that this coffin be draped in the ANC flag, so will President Zuma very soon. Because he understands fully that not everything that he has done in this world will just go down the drain. I know and understand very well that Umkhonto Zuma party members in this House are not comfortable and will not be accepting this sad reality. Because to them and many others in both houses, being a member of Umkhonto party is a meal ticket and not to service the people of the Republic of South Africa. The value chain of electricity supply industry is a capital intensive, from supply of feedstock to generation, transmission, and distribution. In essence, this is a capital intensive, high volume and low margin business. Therefore, within the context, there can never be any quick fix solution, nor any instant solutions. It is a process. Decisive measures which have been taken have over a short period of time started to bear fruit. Eskom is currently the only supplier of electricity in the country with a power purchase agreement with IPP suppliers of renewable energy. In this regard, we all agree that Eskom plays a critical role as it supplies the base load of country's electricity demand. This occurs largely through coal-fired power plants, but the country's high demand is also met through hydroelectric power and nuclear energy, as South Africa's large demand cannot be met from a single source of supply, even if the bulk of demands come from the coal-fired plants. The ANC government, during the sixth parliament, took decisive measures in terms of 6-point plan to end load shedding. And these decisive measures are being implemented and are starting to show results. Eskom itself has taken decisive steps in terms of restoring plant viability through its 9-point maintenance plan and has increased maintenance of its older generating plants while attempting to ensure that Medupi and Kusile can generate maximum capacity. This is still ongoing, given the flaws of Medupi and Kusile that left the sector with deficit in financial and supply terms. However, through increased maintenance, the entity was able to move from all-time low energy availability factor of 48% to now operating at 68%, which is able to finance through its own financial resource to the value of 20 billion per annum over the next 3 years. Government developed the Eskom roadmap for reformed electricity supply industry, approved the plan to restructure Eskom into 3 operating divisions, Honorable Nzimande, its generation, transmission, and distribution, under the holding company, which is Oscom Holdings. The restructuring has occurred with creation of 3 divisions with its own set of accounts under holding company. The National Transmission Company of South Africa is busy attempting to develop a transmission grid to expand electricity supply through bringing the new renewable energy generated by IPPs to the market. This is an indication of the 6,000 megawatts of IPP currently supplied. It is critical that while we understand the decisive steps which government has taken to end load shedding and restore Eskom as a going concern, that we equally understand the necessity of increasing generation, transmission, and distribution capacity. And I thought Member Mokoena will know these things. The implementation of medium-term development plan and microeconomic development through the district development model demands an increase in generation, transmission, and distribution. Load shedding has been caused through increased electricity demand, which exceeds supply. This is largely the result of poor performing plant economic growth, as well as the National Electrification Program rollout since 1994. At the same time, government recognizes the need to increase generation capacity through promoting the development of green energy through renewable energy projects developed by independent power producers. Inclusive economic growth and job creation have been critical elements of government policy through beneficiation. Local industrial development and load shedding needs to be resolved, but generation capacity must be increased to enable inclusive economic growth and job creation. The aim of African National Congress is not merely to take decisive action to end load shedding, thereby ensuring power to the people, but also to ensure that generation, transmission, and distribution capacity is increased to ensure beneficiation, local industrialization, SMME development can occur in all provinces. Corruption, Member Mokoena, must be dealt with by the full might of the law. The National Prosecuting Authority must be resourced with skills to effectively deal with corruption. However, corruption does not determine our sole focus, but rather transformation through creating a better life for all. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Modise. Honourable members, we now move on with the debate, and the next participant will be the Honourable Nico Pienaar from the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Chairperson. It's been a while since you had the opportunity for one of my lectures. Honourable Chairperson, honourable members of the House, and most importantly, as always, my fellow South Africans, good day, goeiedag, tobela. Today's proposed debate topic, authored by the MK Party, is so poorly constructed that one wonders whether they even realize it contains 2 entirely separate debates. One on corruption, the other on the energy crisis. But since they've opened both doors, I will walk through them both. As Honorable Modise ended his speech with corruption, I will start it. Chairperson, corruption is what keeps our people poor and desperate. And as the government of national unity, we must confront it wherever it rears its ugly head. The Zondo Commission report stands as the epicenter of all that has gone wrong with South African politics. Yet to this day, we are still waiting for even one meaningful arrest beyond the former disgraced President Jacob Zuma. The Democratic Alliance remains hopeful that the National Prosecuting Authority will bring closure to this dark chapter in our democracy. But no conversation about corruption is complete without discussing accused number one, Jacob Zuma, the proud leader of the MK party, an ex-convict who served time for contempt of court, now leads a party in parliament. Only in South Africa can a convicted criminal and an impeached judge, John Slope, be held up as political leaders. These are the faces of the MK party. One removed from the bench for gross misconduct, the other removed from the office by the ANC themselves. And yet, MK now demands constitutional amendments while openly attacking the very foundation of our democracy. Chairperson, anything they say today can and should be dismissed with contempt. But let us not waste this opportunity, honourable members, on outrage alone. This debate also demands solutions, particularly to the crisis affecting every household and business, the ongoing energy crisis. Our energy woes are a direct result of a failed government monopoly, Eskom. Let me be clear, the disease cannot be the cure. Entrusting Eskom alone with our energy future is not only naive, it is reckless. The private sector already holds the solutions. Through public-private partnerships, policy reform, and support for independent power producers, we can bring real stability to the grid. Investors are ready. Multinational companies stand prepared to build and deliver clean, sustainable energy. But what is stopping them? Red tape, bureaucratic inertia, political cowardice. We are not advocating for reckless privatization, colleagues. We are calling for long-term lease agreements, open infrastructure access, and for the private capital to complement the state, not replace it. Another urgent challenge in our grid infrastructure is the actual lines that carry electricity across the country. Whether to newly developed suburbs or growing rural communities, we are falling dangerously behind. Chairperson, I was shocked when I heard the estimates. 440 billion rand is needed to build our new infrastructure lines. 440 billion rand, colleagues. I want that figure to sink in. Even if we build all the power plants we need tomorrow, we simply do not have the grid to carry it. And we do not have the tax base to fund these grids. The only viable path forward is through national and international investment structured through transparent, well-governed triple Ps that will allow us to fix the grid and ensure we do not fail our people. Let's discuss generation for a moment. In Limpopo, my home province, right now, a European company has proposed a 6 billion rand solar project. It would bring jobs, energy, and hope back to the region. All they need is a simple one-page no objection letter from the SANDF to continue. That letter has been pending for 240 days. One page, 6 billion rand investment, thousands of jobs, and yet nothing. While we wait, we burn diesel and tell South Africans to switch off their geysers. This is the kind of red tape that must be cut if we are serious about change. And solar is just one part of the solution, Chair. Nuclear energy should be part of the future as well, diversifying the energy mix to the point that it is clean, safe, and reliable. The time to invest in nuclear is now. Delaying it further would be a grave mistake we will one day regret. Chairperson, Eskom has spent billions keeping diesel turbines running. That is not a plan, that is a panic. and it cannot continue while practical solutions are left on the table. We are not short of options, we are short of political will. If this GNU truly wants to lead with integrity that delivers results, we must embrace innovation, investment, and infrastructure sharing. This is our opportunity not just to keep the lights on, but to create jobs, attract investment, and put South Africa on a path for sustainable growth and inclusive growth. Let us not waste this, colleagues. Thank you. Baie dankie. Siyabonga.
Yoloboga, thank you very much to the member from Limpopo. Ladies and gentlemen, taking the debate forward, the next participant will be the Freedom Front Plus representative from the Northern Cape, Honourable H.J. van den Berg.
Chairman, confronting corruption will lead to a conducive environment, indeed, giving power to the people. But the people will also receive municipal services, water, jobs, safety, and security. Corruption, like many other, like a cancer, eats away at the members and organs, leaving the body weak and unable to heal itself. In order to succeed at corrupt activities, you need, as the saying goes, in order to succeed at the activities, you need, as the saying goes, two to tango. In some instances, criminal groups with no morality is destroying our country. And we will have to play a role to change the moral fabric of society. There is no honor in gangsterism, and it should be frowned upon. Chair, first, we must rebuild trust through radical transparency. Every rand spent by Eskom or any other state-run entity must be tracked, audited, and reported online in real time for all to see. We have to deepen our digital footprint, as this will lead us to a transparent government. Yes, no more shadowy deals or inflated contracts slipping through the cracks. Let's empower citizens to hold those in charge accountable. Imagine an app where transactions can be tracked at power stations, right down to the cost of the last broom and light bulb. Second, we have to invest in microgrid renewable energy. Imagine a solar panel on every roof. We've also seen how independent power producers can deliver. Let's scale it up fast. Third, we have to heal our land. And this means holding those caught in corruption responsible and putting them in jail. We must tackle corruption head on, not with expensive, long-winded inquiries that write reports and collect dust. No, we need special corruption courts, independent, swift, and ruthless in prosecuting those who steal from our future. We should be prosecuting whistleblowers. We should not be prosecuting whistleblowers, protecting them. And no one should be above the law. On 23 June 2021, News 24 published findings made by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, titled State Capture 101. They estimate that 1.5 million rand has been lost to corruption between 2014 and 2019, and that some of our elected leaders continue to steal from the poor, hungry, sick, and dying. These words from Bonang Mohali, the Chancellor of the University of the Free State. With that amount of money, indeed, there could have been a solar panel on every house, and all public infrastructure projects would be completed in time and in good working order. We should focus on uniting South Africans, black, brown, white, urban, rural, young, all around a shared goal of no corruption, service delivery, safety and security, and reliable, affordable energy for all. We don't need to tear down to build up. We don't need to dwell on historical grudges while we can focus on creating jobs, powering businesses and lighting homes today. And government should not continue with racial transformation through discrimination. If we want unity and blessings, citizens should have a corruption-free government. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honourable van der Berg. Honourable members, it's now the turn of the Chief Whip of the National Council of Provinces. So we call to the podium, Honourable Sithole. Honourable Sithole.
There is no sound on the visual platform.
We are working on it, Honourable Mukwele. Thank you.
We cannot discuss Eskom challenges without acknowledging the devastating effects of the state capture, which cripple the utilities operation, undermine governance and erode public trust. The looting and mismanagement of Eskom resource left a deep scar, but we are determined to heal them through concrete steps against inefficiency and corruption. Honourable Mokoena here, you must go and ask Ubaba that why are we in this situation? Because he cannot put us in a situation like this and send you to come and look for answers from us. I am proud to report that the Special Investigation Unit has made a significant breakthrough in implementing the state capture report recommendation, holding those responsible to account and recovering stolen funds. These efforts are critical in cleaning up the shortcomings and the state capture administration and restoring Eskom's integrity. Honourable House Chair, in a recent month, we have witnessed promising development highlights the government's success in delivering sustainable energy for our nation. As a country, we have experienced only 14 days of load shedding in 2025, a stark contrast to the relentless outage of the past. Factories operate at full capacity and families enjoy a consistent electricity supply. Honourable Chair, nobody should fake amnesia or become very selective in remembering things. And we must give praises where it's due and not come here and act as if we don't know where we come from. Eskom's revival signifies much more than just an increase in megawatts or the implementation of technical solutions. It represents a profound restoration of dignity among South African citizens. This revival is pivotal in unlocking significant economic potential that has long been hindered by unreliable electricity supply. Moreover, it reaffirms our unwavering commitment to work tirelessly and with profound dedication to deliver reliable energy sources that facilitate a brighter and more prosperous future for all. The journey towards a more sustainable and prosperous tomorrow is not solely about energy production. It is about empowering communities, fostering innovation, and creating job opportunities. Honorable House Chair, Eskom's research is a vital to realizing a shared vision of development and a brighter future for every South African. We say this because we know that Eskom remains the cornerstone of our electricity infrastructure.
If won't you take your seat, please? Honourable member on the platform, is that a point of order or just a disturbance? In the absence of a response, I must take it that it's a disturbance. Honourable members on the platform, there have been 5 disturbances arising from the virtual platform during this speech alone. I must ask you, please, if you choose to remain on the platform, please maintain your discipline. If we find you interrupting, you will be placed in the waiting room until further notice. Thank you very much. Chief Whip, please continue your speech.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, Eskom researches in vital to realizing a shared vision of development and brighter future for every South African. We say this because we know that Eskom remains the cornerstone of our electricity infrastructure, supplying 90% of South African essential base load power. This substantial contribution signifies not just a mere provision of electricity, but the unwavering and reliable power that sustain our critical industry. Including manufacturing, mining, and transportation, these sectors are vital to the nation's overall economic health. In contrast to renewable resources, which are often influenced by unpredictable natural conditions such as sunlight and wind, Eskom coal facility play an indispensable role. They provide the robust backbone that support our entire energy grid, ensuring a steady supply of power around the clock, regardless of weather conditions or resources available. This reliability is crucial for maintaining the functionality of everyday life and the long-term growth of South Africa's economy, as it allows industries to operate without the risk of interruption caused by energy shortage. Honorable House Chair, we are embarking on a transformative journey involving the comprehensive implementation of a robust recovery plan across all our power stations. This initiative, grounded in meticulous 9-point strategy, aims to revitalize maintenance efforts and ensure a sustainable energy future. Together, we'll rise to the challenge and secure the reliability of our power supply for generations to come. As a current power supply will be complemented through new generation capacity from nuclear, gas, and hydroelectric power, as well as the IPP generated renewable energy. The government is committed to successfully completing our new build project, focusing on finalizing Medupi and Kusile while diligently addressing legacy defects. We are also extending the lifespan of Kuburg nuclear power station, ensuring a diversified and resilient energy mix. As announced by our President Cyril Ramaphosa, in 2025 State of the Nation address, new dams are planned to generate new hydroelectric power. Honorable House Chair, the energy availability factor is one of the most significant indicators of our advancement. From a concerning 48% in 2022, we have elevated this figure to an impressive 68% today, a 20-point improvement that translates to 4,000 megawatts being reintegrated into the grid, enough to power the entire city of Cape Town. Power stations such as Kusile, Kendal, Majuba, Letabo, and Peking Station have reported an EAF of 70%, with 3 other exceeding 60%. This progress stems from accelerating maintenance partnership with original equipment manufacturers and the dedication of ESCOM workforce. The narrative surrounding Medupi and Kusile embodied our collective progress. We acknowledge that boiler systems designs flaws led to a year of underperformance, but today, in partnership with experts, we have made a significant breakthrough in resolving these issues. Honorable House Chair, our strategy to eliminate load shedding is built on key pillars, reducing reliance on costly emergency power, now used only as a last resort, enhancing grid capacity to expedite the integration of independent power producers and clean energy, ensuring financial stability through debt restructuring and stringent accountability measures, and implementing procurement reform to combat corruption, support local businesses, and improve efficiency. This multi-pronged approach reflects our commitment to a stable energy future that remains a unified national effort to secure a lasting supply of reliable energy of our people. While the journey ahead remains intensive, our path is unmistakably defined. The revitalization of ESCOM is a collective national endeavor requiring the dedication of all stakeholders. We have come a long way, but there is still a room for growth. As the ANC, we are committed to ensure that the entire energy system is capacitated. We fully support the SIU corrective measures to root out corruption and restore good governance. Those who have engaged in procurement corruption must be charged, and the law must take its course. The continued light we experience are unmistakably indicators of our significant progress in the energy management and infrastructure. Extended duration without the inconvenience of load shedding are clear reflection of the efficacy of our dedicated effort and initiatives. Our power stations that previously faced numerous challenges and setbacks have now transformed and are effectively demonstrating both reliability and efficiency in their output. This remarkable achievement is not merely a stroke of luck or a happenstance. It is a direct, well-earned product of strategic planning, diligent hard work, and unwavering commitment to excellence by all involved parties. It is a testament to what can be accomplished when we focus on resources and efforts towards a common goal.
Thank you, Chief Whip. I'm afraid your time has expired.
Thank you very much, Honorable Host.
Thank you, Chief Whip. Thank you to the acting Chief Whip. Honourable members, the next speaker represents the Patriotic Alliance in the Western Cape. It's the Honourable BJ Farmer. Honourable Farmer.
Honourable Chairperson, honourable members and fellow South Africans. Open quote, We have to strengthen the relationships with organized business so that we continue growing the South African economy. This was said by President Jacob Zuma when he closed the 52nd conference of the ANC in Polokwane on 20 December 2007. The same man who gave us load shedding and state capture. It's an honor to address you today as we confront one of the most pressing challenges of our time, the intersection of governance, corruption, and South Africa's ongoing energy crisis. Our nation does not suffer from a lack of resources or technical capability. Rather, we suffer from a deficit of accountability. Systemic corruption has destabilized our energy infrastructure, obstructed sustainable development, and deepened social and economic inequalities thanks to the Zuma era and state capture. At the heart of this crisis, our colored and marginalized communities remain disproportionately affected, forced to endure unreliable electricity, economic hardship, and lost opportunities. Ons het nie 'n energiekrisis nie, ons het 'n korrupsiekrisis. Terwyl ons gemeenskappe in duisternis gedompel word, het wanbestuur en selfverryking openbare hulpbronne geplunder. Miljoene rande is vermors op kontrakte wat nie lewer nie, sinne die prys moet betaal. Dit is nie net 'n ekonomiese ramp nie, dit is 'n morele mislukking. Dit is tyd dat ons korrupsie ontbloot en werklike verantwoordbaarheid afdwing. For the first time in years, South Africa has seen over 20 consecutive days without load shedding. This progress is a testament to the resilience of our and the urgent need for reform. Complacent, our energy system remains fragile, and without decisive action, we risk slipping back into crisis. While accountability must be our priority, we cannot solely focus on exposing corruption. We must also build sustainable energy solutions. The future of South Africa's power sector requires bold, decisive action grounded in three key principles. 1, diversified and decentralized energy generation. 2, public-private sector collaboration. 3, energy efficiency and modern infrastructure. The Patriotic Alliance stands firm in its commitment to the eradication of corruption, decentralizing energy production, and ensuring that all South Africans, especially marginalized communities, benefit from a transparent, sustainable, and equitable power system. Our vision is clear. Economic justice, community empowerment, and governance that serves rather than political elites. This is not simply a policy recommendation, it is a national imperative. South Africa cannot progress if its people are trapped in darkness.
Sonzakaliswa lurhwaphilizo olwaqhambuka kumzi ekuphehwa kuwo umbane. U-Eskom wabe urhulumente ejongile. Kwabikho miphumela kubarhwaphilisi, i-consequence management ukutsho ke. Umbuzo, ngubani na umsunguli wale ntlekele sikuyo namhlanje? Namhlanje sigqwala emswaneni, Speaker, uqhawukile ujinga abantwana bedlala, siyophisa isizwe, abenzi boku bathwesa amawonga, kodwa ngabo abenzi bobububi. Ityala lobuqhophololo norhwaphilizo lwabenzi bobubi namhlanje lihlawulwa zimpula zikalujaca. Ngokungenalusini nalusizi, umxakatho ubekwe phezu kwentloko zabemi belilizwe. Umbuzo, ngubani na umsunguli wentlekele esikuyo namhlanje? Mandigqwathule kulwimi lwasemzini. The SIU told Scopa that 1 billion has been looted by staff cooperating with managers, and there are almost 2,000 cases of fraud and corruption registered on behalf of Eskom. The question, who is the initiator of the damage that we are experiencing today? The depth of this crisis is captured by the shocking accounts of former Eskom CEO Andrew Hatirater. He described how good coal was certified at the mine, but replaced in transit with poor quality discard coal. Drivers were paid 5,000 per load to be part of the scheme. The question, who is the initiator of the damage that we're experiencing today? Eskom ended up in coal so poor that Andrew Hatirater said, we were trying to burn rocks. Those rocks damages the boilers and the mills caused leaks and led to costly repairs. Due to the terminal stress, drivers would receive payments without even offloading fuel, costing 100 millions per month up to 1.2 billion a year. The question, who is
Colleagues, you are muted this side on the platform.
Thank you, Honourable Mananiso. We have a letter.
Not for progress, but for state capture, for mismanagement, and the hollowing out of many state-owned enterprises, most notably Eskom. Billions were lost. Good engineers were pushed out and replaced by loyal cadres, and the system that once powered Africa's strongest economy was brought to its knees. We cannot build the future by recycling the failures of the past. Every act of corruption is a power cut to the people. When maintenance is neglected, communities suffer. When dodgy coal deals signed, clinics and schools go dark. When tenders are rigged, the poor pay the price. When load shedding becomes permanent, economic growth stalls and joblessness rises. Chairperson, we must confront corruption with the same urgency as we do load shedding. This must include implementing the Zondo Commission recommendations without delay, strengthening procurement systems with transparency and integrity, and holding every official, past and present, accountable for stealing from the people. But accountability alone won't fix our grid. We need sustainable solutions, and they exist if we only have the political will and courage to implement them. We as government must open the energy market fully to independent power producers, support and empower capable municipalities to generate and procure their own electricity. Invest seriously in renewable energy, not just to follow global trends, but to create local jobs, reduce emissions, and build long-term resilience. And urgently establish an independent electricity management operator to oversee a fair, transparent grid. This is not theory. This is already working in the Western Cape, where clean governance is matched with clean results. In Cape Agulhas, where the two oceans meet, we work tirelessly to protect basic services, even under resource strain. And in Beaufort West, where I now serve as the political aide, the message from the people is clear. They want results, not rhetoric. They want working lights, warm homes, and functioning clinics, and no more endless excuses. Chairperson, I've seen with my own eyes what is possible when committed officials, backed with honest leadership and supported by communities, decide to act. That spirit of accountability and innovation must reach our national government. Power to the people must not be a political slogan, but it must be a shift to transparent governance, a shift to decentralized energy decisions, where local governments are empowered and not ignored, a shift to real political accountability, especially from those who still carry the scares of guilt of the Zuma era. We cannot allow electricity policy to be a playground of outdated ideologies or political point scoring. This is about survival. This is about dignity to all the people of our country. In townships and small towns, young people are giving up hope. Load shedding is not just an inconvenience. It is a barrier to learning, to working, to dreaming. A generation is being robbed of its future because of years of neglect and denialism. We need to bring the light back permanently, Chairperson, not only to our homes and businesses, but to our people's hearts. Chairperson, let us not confuse shouting and fighting with leadership. True leadership builds, it does not burn. It connects, it does not divide. It delivers, it does not delay. As Nelson Mandela reminded us, it always seems impossible until it's done. Let us apply the same courage, the same vision, and that same resilience to end the energy crisis, not by defending old failures, not by blaming the past while walking its shoes, but by putting people first and power where it belongs. Let us light up this once beautiful nation, not just with electricity, but with honesty, with innovation, and with action. From the forgotten alleys of Maritzburg to the lighthouse of Cape Agulhas, to the classrooms of Malinkosi, South Africans are not asking for miracles. They are asking for leadership. They are asking for action. They are asking for DA light. Let us deliver power to the people in word, power to the people in light, and power to the people in truth. I thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Swart. Finishing with half a second to go. Thank you very much indeed. Honourable members, we now go back to the Umkhonto weSizwe party. The representative from Mpumalanga, though he tends to veer towards KwaZulu-Natal.
Can't see you. You must behave. You are next to me. You must behave. How much time do I have, Chair? Or 9 minutes? Revolutionary greetings to President Zuma in Council. Whether you like it or not, he was the most progressive state president in this country of the Republic of South Africa. Leadership of the MK party in all levels, Honorable House Chairperson, honorable members, fellow South Africans, good afternoon. The speech we just heard from Honorable Mokoena, our commander as MK party in this house, laid the reality South Africans face every day. A reality of despair fueled by government incompetence and unchecked greed. But today's debate is not just about diagnosing the crisis, it is about demanding justice for millions of citizens who are being betrayed by those entrusted to serve them. We are here to demand answers and accountability from the ANC-led government whose governance has turned hope into frustration and potential into crisis. The people of South Africa deserve better, and the staggering delays and cost overruns at Medupi and Kusile were not just engineering failures. They were governance failures, tender irregularities, inflated contracts, and kickbacks were the order of the day. These projects, which should have symbolized the progress, now stand as monuments of corruption. And it is not just ESCOM. The contracts awarded to independent power producers, such as Mulilo Creek of conflicts of interest and unethical practices, where the former CFO of ESCOM profiting from contracts issued by the very entity he once managed. This pattern of revolving doors and sweetheart deals has become the hallmark of ANC's government. Let me be clear, honorable members. Corruption at this level is not a victimless crime. It steals resources from the public, plunges millions into poverty, and cripples the economy. It is a betrayal of a very ideals upon which our democracy was built. Honorable Chairperson, every day of load shedding cost our economy billions of rand, and it forces businesses to close their doors to unbearable levels. Meanwhile, the governing party sits back offering empty promises and unconvincing excuses. How many jobs must be lost before the ANC acknowledges its role in this crisis? How many small businesses must collapse before government takes responsibility? The economic toll of load shedding is not just numbers of balance sheet, it is the shattered dreams of millions of South Africans who are desperate for change. Honorable members, listen to this and listen very attentively. While we expose the failure of the ANC, we must also chart a way forward. The MK party believes that South Africa's energy future can be and must be brighter. To achieve this, we propose the following steps. Immediate suspension of questionable contracts. Every contract, including those involving independent power producers, must be reviewed to ensure fairness, transparency, and value for money. Decentralization of energy production, empowering municipalities and private citizens to generate their own power will reduce the strain of ESCOM and promote energy independence. Support for local innovation by investing in South African companies and researchers. We can develop homegrown solutions that reduce our reliance on imported technology and foreign firms. Public accountability mechanism, establishing a public fencing energy task force to oversee ESCOM operations and ensure that the government's commitments are met in a timely and transparent manner. Honorable House Chairperson, welcome. Today's debate must be a turning point. It is not enough to acknowledge the crisis. We must act decisively to end it. And ANC's failure have left this country in darkness. But South Africans are resilient. They are ready for leaders who prioritize their needs over personal gain. The MK party stands ready to lead that charge. We will fight for justice, for transparency, and for an energy sector that serves people, not the political connected. The question now is not what went wrong. We know the answer to that. The question is, will this House rise to the occasion and demand the change that South Africans so desperately need? Honorable members, the time for excuses is over. Honorable members, the time for excuses, it is absolutely over. The time for real change is now. Let us return power to its rightful owners, the people of South Africa. I thank you very much.
For 2 minutes. Thank you, Honorable Zulu. Honorable Zulu. Honorable Zulu, next time you address the members through me, please, because they'll respond back to you. All right, without further ado, thank you, Honorable Zulu, for welcoming me. I'm very comfortable where I'm seated. The next speaker on the podium is going to be Honorable MEC Mamabulo from Gauteng, Maboning. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me acknowledge the Chair of the NCOP as well, who was here with us. Let me also acknowledge and greet the entire leadership of the NCOP. In advance, I know the Minister is going to address us. Let me also greet him, all the MSCs, the premiers, everybody, any councillor, everybody listening to the debate. Let me greet the people of our country and, of course, the province. I'm deeply honored, honorable members, to represent Gauteng provincial government, led by our premier, Honorable Panyaza Lesufi. And let me also just indicate that upfront would like to dedicate this debate to the youth of our country as we will be celebrating June 1976, and of course, further acknowledge and looking forward to the delegates that represented us in the Congress of the People as we'll be celebrating the 70th decade. That when one looks at the motion that has been presented and tabled, it is deeply concerning just to understand what exactly is the purpose and the objective of this motion, and what does it really seek to achieve, and how does it seek to help the people of our country in global and local investors that are critical to create jobs, reduce the multi-dimensional aspects of poverty, and make sure that we can improve the quality of lives of the people. You'll agree with me, honorable members, one has had the opportunity to participate in many debates in this House, but I must say one is deeply concerned that this motion is definitely not taking us forward, and I thought as the House we should consider dismissing this motion and rejecting it as it's not serving any purpose. For example, even the member that presented the motion and the party that debated it, you can clearly see that they themselves are not so clear about what should constitute the content of the motion they've provided. We are very confident, honorable members, that the minister will definitely reaffirm the point that has been made by both Honorable Modise and Stole, and I think we should agree with them that since Honorable Minister Ramogopa was appointed as Minister responsible for electricity and energy, our country is seeing remarkable progress be made in the consistent supply and delivery of energy and electricity. When we say this, honorable members, we do not mean there are no challenges. But we think, as Honorable Stolle advised us, let us give credit where credit is due, and let us appreciate the good work that the Honorable Minister is doing. And I think for that, the Minister deserves an applause from this House for the good work that is being done. Continuing to project our country in the manner that some members in this House are doing, as if there has not been remarkable progress being made and the matters being addressed, I think that is pulling down our country. And I think we should call on all members to unite in promoting and boosting the necessary confidence, not based just on sentiment, but I think it's important that we embrace the good work that the Honorable Minister, the team at ESCOM are doing to make sure that we can deliver consistent energy supply, electricity that is critical to grow our country and the economy. So debating this matter in the old, outdated, obsolete way is not going to help us. Let us open a new chapter, unite the people in our country to make sure that we can install and instill the necessary confidence to grow our economy, create jobs, reduce poverty, and of course, inequalities, but also most importantly, make sure that we improve the quality of lives of the people. Now, having listened to Honorable Stolle and Honorable Modise, let me say that in our province, honorable members, we have established in partnership with Eskom and City Power a very good partnership that is represented in the Intergovernmental Relations Committee that is convened and chaired by the Premier and the mayors and all the members of the mayoral committees. We meet every week in our province to assess progress made in making sure that we can deliver this very important to the people of our country and the province. We have also partnered with City Power, and we have actually allocated about 1.2 billion to make sure that City Power can be correctly repositioned to improve service delivery in respect of energy and electricity to the people of our province. I'm very much pleased to announce that, led by our Honorable Premier Panyaza Lesufi, we have actually rolled out in partnership with Eskom a very good program to install transformers, provide people with transformers across the province who have not had energy and electricity for a very long time. And this was achieved because we worked together with Eskom as partners, and not the breaking of ranks, finger pointing, and some of the negative statements that are being made here, but fostering partnership, working together as the ANC teaches us. We have made good progress in our province. I'm also pleased to inform members in the House that we have also another ITR committee supported by the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Honorable Majodina. It is attended by the Premier, the mayors, where we look at water. We have coined a very good concept of the water energy nexus. And on this again, honorable members, we appreciate the role that Eskom is playing in fostering partnership and working with us to make sure that we can provide water and energy together to the people of our province. I'm also pleased to just indicate that just last week, we had a difficulty in Mfuleni where a substation was bent down, and I want to inform members, we're deeply pleased by the swift and prompt response by the team from Eskom that came and worked with us to make sure that we can resolve this issue. And tomorrow with the mayor of Mfuleni, we will be visiting the site to check progress. And once more, we want to acknowledge and appreciate the role that Eskom, led by the minister, is playing in improving the conditions of our people as it relates to energy supply. We are also pleased, honorable members, that working with Eskom, we have also installed solar, green and smart solutions to empower the people of our province, and we have made remarkable progress in this regard. We also want to say to the honorable members, and of course to this very important house, that as taught in this house, we believe only by working together, planning, budgeting, and of course working within the principles of the district development model and the profound principle raised by this house of 3 spheres of government working together, only in that way can we make sure that we support energy, electricity supply to improve and grow the quality of life of our people. The African National Congress correctly says and teaches us that ANC lives, ANC leads, long live ANC, and we are looking forward to the input of the minister, and only on this basis, we are quite positive our country will move forward. Let us call on all members to be positive about our country and refrain from trumpeting negative messages and restore confidence in the country. Let us move forward, honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. The next speaker on the podium is going to be Honorable Kennedy from Limpopo, the province of Baobab Tree. She's online. Honorable Kennedy, I'm going to count to 5. If after 5 it does not, you don't materialize, I pass. 1.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable House. Greetings to the Minister. Honorable Chairperson, the economic freedom fighters takes this opportunity to once again reaffirms its commitment to fighting corruption and championing the cause of transparency at all levels of government. We are resolute in our belief that public office is a responsibility to serve the people, uphold the rule of law, and manage resources with utmost integrity and prudence. We have since inception consistently voiced our commitment to combating corruption at all levels of government, as corruption is a major impediment to South Africa's progress and economic development. Our core ideology revolves around economic freedom, and we believe that corruption at any level hinders this objective. As the EFF, we therefore believe that fighting corruption and alleviating the energy crisis, transparency, and accountability are crucial. This involves promoting open government initiative, strengthening whistleblower protection, and ensuring that contract and tender process are fair and free from undue influence. Implementing these measures can help prevent corruption, improve energy sector management, and ultimately lead to a more sustainable and reliable energy supply. In implementing such transparency measures, we are of the view that government agencies should strengthen oversight bodies and ensure robust legal frameworks with penalties for corruption. And that multifaceted approaches are needed to address some of the energy crisis sustainability, focusing on renewable energy sources, grid modernization, and energy efficiency. This includes the acceleration of deployment of solar and wind power, implementing energy storage solutions like batteries, and exploring waste to energy technologies. As such, in the EFF, we were saddened but not surprised by the return of load shedding last month, as this government has consistently failed to provide a steady and reliable supply of electricity, proving once again that they are incapable of solving South Africa's energy crisis. It is evident that the supposed load shedding free periods were nothing but a manufactured illusion to create a false sense of progress in energy stability. As the EFF, we have long warned that this GNU government has no real intention of resolving the energy crisis. Instead, it is clear that they are paving the way for the eventual privatization of the electricity sector, ensuring that South Africans will never have peace when it comes to energy security. They continue to fail in managing ESCOM efficiently, whilst allowing independent power producers and private companies to dictate the future of energy supply in the country. This is a well-orchestrated scam aimed at ending at the expense of the majority. Honorable Chair, as a country, South Africa has abundant solar resources, making it a prime candidate for solar power generation. This includes both large-scale solar farms and the encouragement of rooftop solar for households and businesses. We are therefore saddened by ESCOM's ongoing struggles, which have resulted in relentless load shedding,
plunging entire communities into darkness for extended periods of time. This has crippled small businesses, disrupted livelihoods, and placed a huge strain on essential services like hospitals and water treatment plants. The EFF has consistently maintained that the challenges faced by ESCOM are direct results of years of ANC-led mismanagement, corruption, a lack of investment in renewable energy sources. And we have long advocated for the nationalization of electricity sector and terminating contracts with power producers. But our calls have been met with deaf ears. And despite failure to supply electricity equitably, ESCOM and the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, NERSA, have no shame in consistently approving exploitative tariff hike. We know this to be true, as just last year, in September 2024, ESCOM sought an outrageous 66% multi-year tariff escalation, with a proposed 36.15% increase for 2025 alone. Although NERSA reduced the request, it still approved a burdensome 24% increase, forcing South Africans to pay more for a service that remains unreliable. This follows a cumulative 33.77% increase in 2023 and 2024, further burdening struggling households and businesses. As the EFF, we reaffirm today that the resolution to South Africa's energy crisis does not lie in increasing tariffs for an unreliable service or in privatizing electricity supply. We therefore demand an end to load shedding and load reductions and equitable distribution of electricity across all communities and a rejection of any attempt to privatize ESCOM. ESCOM should not even be a profit-making entity, but simply be playing a developmental role in our economy, ensuring that energy is sufficient to necessitate the running of our country. The people of South Africa should not be held hostage by a corrupt and incompetent government that prioritizes profit over the well-being of its citizens. As the EFF, we believe in a state-led approach to investment in energy sector rather than relying on private sector participation. The energy crisis can be tackled through a combination of increased supply, reduced demand, and a transformation of the electricity sector. Key strategies would include accelerating the development of renewable energy sources like power and wind, improving ESCOM's performance, and promoting energy efficiency measures. As we know, corruption undermines trust in government and disrupts the effective implementation of energy policies. By improving institutional quality, implementing anti-corruption measures, and upholding the rule of law, South Africa can create a stable and predictable environment for investments in the energy sector. Not forgetting that Corruption Watch emphasizes the importance of openness and transparency in the energy sector. ESCOM, as the state-owned electricity utility, needs to improve its existing supply availability. This involves addressing inefficiencies in power plant operations and improving maintenance practices. South Africa needs to transform its electricity sector to achieve long-term energy security and sustainability. This includes improving the grid infrastructure, modernizing power plants, and developing new energy storage technologies. It should also invest in energy efficiency measures to reduce overall energy consumption. The EFF government, as outlined in our manifesto, seeks to consolidate generation transmission and distribution into a single entity, expanding its capacity for consistent, dependable, and affordable electricity distribution, and to diversifying the energy mix, incorporating clean coal, gas, and nuclear and renewable sources to ensure energy security and decarbonization. Finally, Honorable Chair, the EFF urges citizens to remain vigilant and to report any instances of abuse of power and misuse of public funds, as it is through collective effort and active citizenship that we can safeguard our democracy and ensure that justice is administered without fear or favor. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kennedy. The next speaker on the platform is going to be the Minister of Energy and Electricity, Honorable Ramokgopa. He is online. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me extend my warm and sincere greetings to members in the House and also fellow South Africans that are watching. I thought that it would be useful that I situate the conversation within the context of the three priority areas of the 7th administration. We have agreed on three key priorities. The first is the creation of jobs and growing the economy. The second one is to ensure that we fight poverty and reduce the cost of living. And the third one is to ensure that we build an ethical, capable, and developmental state. All of these priorities, Chair, are predicated on the electricity that is available, that is affordable, and that is also environmentally sustainable. We have accepted that electricity and logistics are some of the structural constraints that are undermining the ability of the economy to grow and therefore stunting our ability to achieve the developmental agenda that we have set for ourselves. And it is in this regard that we have placed the resolution of load shedding as one of the major interventions of the 7th administration, building on the excellent work of the 6th administration. The resolution of load shedding and ultimately achieving energy security finds expression in the Energy Action Plan that was unveiled by President Ramaphosa in July of 2025. The Energy Action Plan, House Chair, has got 5 outcomes. The first outcome is to ensure that we are able to fix Eskom. And I'm happy to say that in this regard, on the back of the fiscal support to the tune of 252 billion rand over a period of time, we've been able to improve the energy availability factor, moving it from 48% at the time that the EAF was introduced, and now it's averaging, as I speak to you, over 63%. So that's a phenomenal improvement, and that explains why we've been able to achieve a solid 300 days plus of no load shedding. It was not an accident, but it was orchestrated on the back of the execution, the clinical execution of the Energy Action Plan. And then the second outcome of the Energy Action Plan is to ensure that we accelerate private sector investments. What have we done in this regard? Private sector investment in new generation capacity. What have we achieved in this regard, Chair? First is to ensure that we are able to truncate both the licensing and the permitting periods, principally the approvals in relation to environmental impact assessment and also the water use license. I'm happy to say that we've been able to bring the period of those permitting and licensing to below 50 days. And it is our intention, Chair, to even reduce those periods of approval to less than 30 days. And then the other major interventions we've made to accelerate private sector investments is to ensure that we have in place a wheeling framework. A wheeling framework is none other than a third-party transportation of electricity. What that does is that it enables, if you like, a private sector market where you have a private sector developer of new generation transacting with a private sector off-taker of that generation capacity using the municipal and or ESCOM infrastructure, so we're able to standardize the rules. What we have achieved on the back of this is that we have seen that there's an insatiable appetite of private sector investments to the tune of about 66 gigawatts of private sector sponsored projects at various stages of the project pipeline. And then the third outcome of the Energy Action Plan is to ensure that we accelerate the public procurement of a new generation capacity, and this is codified under what we colloquially refer to as the bid windows. In the context of that, in order to ensure that we introduce objectivity and we're able to protect the integrity of that procurement process, we then enacted what we call the Independent Power Producer Office, which will be principally responsible for procurement of new generation capacity. And since the introduction of the IPPO House Chair, we've been able to run about 10 bid windows. And the last bid window is the one that we announced on bid window number 3. And the sponsor of this motion, Honorable Mokoena, makes the point that ESCOM is the one that adjudicated on this procurement. I want to state this categorically. ESCOM can be a player and a referee at the same time. So ESCOM is nowhere close to procuring of a new generation capacity through the bid window process. And the generators are also not participating as at the process, at the stage of evaluating. They are simply participants. It is only the Independent Power Producer Office, which is also located outside the ministry. We are incubating it at the DBSA to ensure that we are able to achieve a degree of transparency, objectivity, and accountability in the manner in which we procure. So I want to dispel the myth that ESCOM is the one that procured this new generation capacity on battery storage. And then the second point to be made is that the 9.7 billion rands of bid window number 3 is the total investment that is made by the entities that are participating in the bid windows. So it's not money that is dispensed by ESCOM, but essentially it's in building that capacity. And of course, on the back of us receiving that generation capacity during peak periods, we are able to pay for that. In the hour, we've seen an exponential increase in electricity tariff. To put that into context, the electricity tariffs have increased by over 600% over the next 10 years. It's an untenable situation. There is no economy that can absorb that. Households' experiences, lived experiences, significantly deteriorated as a result of the increased cost of electricity, less disposable income, and many of the households are finding it difficult to meet their daily requirements. And that's why it is important that we must unbundle the tariff and make it more transparent. But what are we doing now, going into the future? So I was just giving you a small account on the achievement we've made against the Energy Action Plan. The first one is an admission that we need to expand and modernize our grid. Our own calculations suggest, Chair, that we need to expand it by over 14,000 kilometers and still modernize it. And the point was made earlier on by the member of the GA, Mr. Honorable Pinar, that we require something in the order of magnitude of 440 billion rand. Now, clearly the fiscal matrix has deteriorated, and that's why we are grappling with a budget that whose revenues can support the expenditure. So we can't overburden the sovereign balance sheet. The ESCOM balance sheet is also very weak. on account of both objective and subjective reasons. What have we done so far, Chair, is that we have introduced a bespoke financing solution. We are introducing a credit guarantee vehicle which will serve as a backstop. And then we're going to concession about 3 packages of these lines. They are going to give us 3,200 megawatts. We're building about 1,160 kilometers of new lines, all of them financed by the private sector. The second intervention on what ought to be done, I'm happy to announce that we will be finalizing the grid access rules to ensure that it's on a non-discriminatory basis, that if there's private sector investments that are going to invest in new generation capacity and they want to access the grid, the rules are clear, transparent, and predictable for all, and everyone gets to be treated equally and no favor is extended to anyone. The third one is that we're introducing what we call the distributed. These are interventions that we're making in far-flung rural areas where it's very expensive for us to roll out the backbone infrastructure. It's got an impact on the cost of electricity. We are harnessing our renewable energy endowments. We are pairing both battery and solar PV, and we are able to deliver to these poor households. Our target, Chair, is to connect 1.59 million houses in the next 4 years, and we are confident that we should be able to achieve that. Then the fifth area is to ensure that we are able to address the debt area, is to ensure that we are able to address the debt to ESCOM, debt to municipalities. I mean, many of the municipalities are liquid their own an inordinate amount of money. We've introduced what we call the distribution agency agreement, where we're capacitating municipalities with the properly qualified engineers who are able to map the entire value chain, do scenario planning, the growth of consumption, support the infrastructure that will be able to support projected demand, so that, and then ensure that municipalities are able to collect their money. They become liquid, are able to redirect and reinvest that in other aspects of their business. We have already started the provinces, the municipalities in Limpopo, the Free State, the Northwest, who are expanding across the country. And in the course of doing that, we'll also be addressing and resolving load reduction, which is afflicting in the most disproportionate fashion poor communities. Will be introducing, bringing in new infrastructure to ensure that we have load reduction. We will be accelerating rooftop solar solutions. We are introducing a financing instrument